Yo, what's up guys? Mike here. Great video for you guys today. So we're going to go in the grow room. I got some awesome mushrooms coming up. I'm going to talk about those. This is going to be a video. I'm basically going to tell you my favorite top 3 mushrooms anyone should be growing right now. Okay, if you're not growing them, you should be growing them. And if you're a beginner, these are 3 great mushrooms for a beginner too. Okay, so these should be staples, I think, on a farm nowadays. And like I said, if you're a beginner, these are great ones to start with just for their consistency, kind of their resiliency, and their overall yield. So we're going to talk about these 3 mushrooms today. And for those of you just tuning in, I want to let you guys know I'm a mushroom farmer. I've been doing this as my full-time job for almost 10 years now. This is my 8th year being a mushroom farmer full-time. So if you're into mushrooms and farming, make sure you click that subscribe button right now so you get more mushroom and farming videos like this in the future, because I always got some good content I'm dropping and try to make some good videos. But anyway, so we're standing in the farm right now. I've been starting off my farmers markets. I actually just got done with one today, so I'll put up a couple pictures. Here's a picture of today's farmers market. It was really good. By the way, a really good one for me to do here. And I've done massive farmers markets for those of you who don't know. So here's a shot of some farmers markets that I previously did in St. Louis, Missouri when I had my mushroom business in St. Louis. I actually sold at a giant farmers market. It was the biggest one in St. Louis there. It's actually the oldest one west of the Mississippi, so very historical place. And I've sold thousands of pounds of mushrooms at that market there over the years. So lots of mushrooms there. It's a quite different ball game here in Colorado. The markets are smaller, and I'm going to be definitely doing some sales outside of the markets with like restaurants, whether it be chefs or even grocery stores as well. But I'm still doing really good at these markets. These are super cool markets. Everybody that I've met, I actually have subscribers on the channel now that I've met at the farmers market. So that's really cool. Thanks everybody who has subscribed or anybody that has even bought my mushrooms or supported me at all at these markets. Thanks a lot. And I just want to say I'm actually like just kind of getting started too for the year. As you can see, I just have like fresh mushrooms on my stand right now, and I'll be adding things in like tinctures. I might add in grow kits. I'm back and forth on that. I think it's a little extra sometimes to explain growing kits to new people. And I will say that environment out here in the Rocky Mountains, just with the air being drier, it's a little harder to grow a grow kit. So yeah, and I did have a woman today though. This was a retired woman. It was so impressive. I hear stories like this all the time, but she was telling me she had a Martha in her house, like a Martha tent. Those of you guys who don't know even what that is, it's basically like an indoor growing tent for mushrooms. But this older woman had one today, and because I was asking her, she was telling me that she was doing kits, and then I just asked her in conversation. I was like, well, how are you doing them out here? Are you doing them on the countertop? And she was like, oh no, I have a Martha. And I just thought it was funny. So everybody is getting into growing mushrooms nowadays. I think it's super cool. Also, if you guys hear like a weird clunking in the background right now, so there's a cricket over here too. But if you hear a weird clunking, I have a swamp cooler running right now. We'll do a video about like air conditioning and keeping your farm cool in the future. But got the swamp cooler turned on right now, keeping things cool here. That doesn't work in all environments, but here in the Rocky Mountains where we have kind of a drier air in general, when you add moisture to it, we get an evaporative cooling effect. So I'm using a swamp cooler, and guys, I really like it. So I'm just gonna say, if anybody who's growing in a dry environment in general, the swamp cooler is great, because like I'm in my incubation area right now and the air feels really good in here. And I'm a Midwesterner too, originally, before I moved out here. So the air is just weird. It's weird just being drier out here to me anyway. So I like the moisture in there personally. So it feels good. But anyway, let's get on to this. So what are the 3 mushrooms that I would recommend that everybody needs to be growing? Okay guys, so the top 3 mushrooms you should be growing, we're going to go in this grow room right now, and then I'm going to kind of show you guys each of these mushrooms. Then we're going to come back out here, and I'm just going to talk about each one of them individually and tell you guys kind of like why I think you should be growing them. I've even changed my opinion on one of these mushrooms over the years, okay? I used to not like one of these at all, believe it or not, and now I'm really actually liking to grow this mushroom a lot. So anyway, let's get in here, let's check this grow room out, and let's look at these mushrooms. All right, guys, so we're in the grow room, and wow, first of all, look at this rack. That is the Hericium americanum, the bear's head mushroom. So that's actually not one of the top 3, but it's a really good one, and we're going to talk about that one because it's actually kind of a bonus one we're going to talk about today. But anyway, check these out. Blue Oyster, okay? So Blue Oyster This is one of my top ones that I would recommend every beginner, every expert, every mushroom farmer. You should definitely be considering growing the blue oyster mushroom. And we got them everywhere, guys. Look at those things. Look at that. That's not AI. That's real. That is a real mushroom. That is coming out of one bag. Like, wow, dude. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the color on that. That deep, dark color. Okay, so that is number one, the blue oyster. Now, what's number two? What's number two? Oh, right there. The lion's mane. The Hericium erinaceus. If you are a mushroom farmer in 2025 and you are not growing the lion's mane mushroom, you are sleeping under a rock, guys. What are you doing? Grow the lion's mane. That's number two. Number three. What is it? Shimofura hirataki, the Black Pearl King. Guys, I've changed my mind. I'm a believer, guys. The Black Pearl King. There's a future for this mushroom. So, here we go. One. The blue oyster mushroom. So that's number one. Number two. The lion's mane mushroom. Hericium erinaceus. Head over to my website and pick up the Yeti strain. Link down in the description box below. And then number three. Black Pearl King. Okay, so these are my three. And then number four, bonus. Bonus. These guys are still growing. This is the Hericium americanum, the bear's head mushroom. I'm going to bring these to the Crested Butte Farmers Market on Sunday. Look how massive these are, guys. Like, I imagine that. I don't know. I'm crazy and I'm weird, but I imagine that. I think of it like it's a hedgehog's back or something. These are all like little hedgehogs on these mushroom bags. Oh my god, yeah, guys, I'm nuts, right? But yeah, check those out. Aren't they weird? Some people would be like, Mike, you're crazy. That just looks like messed up cauliflower, dude. But if you look really close on some of these, they're still developing. But if you look really close on some of these, you can see the spikes. Maybe that's why I'm thinking hedgehog. Who knows? But anyway, if you want some of these awesome commercial liquid cultures, just head over to my website. Like I said, it is linked down in the description box below, and you can get all of these strains and grow these mushrooms yourself. But let's talk about these three. Here we go. Alright guys, so we're going to talk about these three mushrooms. I just shut the swamp cooler off, so maybe it's a little less noisy out here. The cricket is still making plenty of noise up front though, so anyway, we're going to deal with it. So, number one though, blue oyster, alright? So why should you grow the blue oyster? Okay, so first of all, there's a myriad of reasons why you should be growing the blue oyster. I want to say, this blue oyster that I'm currently growing in here, okay, I've been growing this specific strain for almost 8 years. Almost the entire time I've been cultivating, believe it or not, which is crazy. I just remember so many times that I've been growing, and I was like in the beginning stages of growing, and I was wondering, hey, am I even going to have a crop this week, okay? Like that, guys. And the blue oyster would always provide, okay? So anytime I was battling contamination issues, sometimes you get it so bad, even the blue oyster can't save you guys in the beginning, but the blue oyster is very resilient against contamination, and it'll usually kind of fight through things, okay? But that being said, still always have good clean technique, but the blue oyster is pretty resilient even to different forms of contamination. I also want to say another reason why I like to recommend the blue oyster just for beginners is the fact that it's pretty fast, okay? So when I make one of these blocks, this is an oyster mushroom, this is a pink oyster, okay, for example, but an oyster, just like the blue, is highly aggressive as well, and it'll colonize a block in about 2 weeks or so, one of these 10-pound blocks, and it's ready to go into the grow room at that point, okay? It's going to be nice and dense, nice and white with mycelium, so it's pretty fast in incubation, and then it's reliable in the grow room too, okay? So you get, like I said, it's resilient, it's fast, it's reliable, it's a heavy yielder, okay? It's pretty versatile as far as temperatures go. I've grown it in here in the 40s even, okay, the 40s and the 50s. It goes pretty slow then, but it will grow, okay? You can even grow it upwards in the upper 70s. You can even go into the 80s. I will say, though, once you get up into the 70s, the higher you go, the more you will battle bacterial problems. But I will just say, with most gourmet mushrooms in general, kind of like what we have here, you don't want to get too high up in the 70s, okay, because then you just start having problems in general, okay? There are mushrooms like maybe you could say you could replace it with a pink oyster then. When you're battling some heat, that would be a good one to replace that blue with, or something if you're really struggling with it, or some super crazy temp. But even I myself, I've grown the blue up in the 80 degrees, and if you've ever had a compost pile outside of kind of leftover mushroom blocks, and you've kind of just watched it in the summer, you may notice even like if you get some rainy days, and then you might have some really hot summer days in the 80s, maybe even the 90s, you might still even have your blue oysters fruiting outside in your compost pile. So they'll still fruit, but like I said, there's certain temperature that I would call the Goldilocks zone for the blue oyster. Now anyway, the lion's mane mushroom, number 2, okay? Everybody, like I said, 2025, if you're not growing lion's mane, you're sleeping under a rock. Everybody's growing lion's mane, okay? Back in the day when I started, like 2017, okay, way back then, and I was growing lion's mane back then, it was definitely like not as common. I'd have that thing at the farmer's market and people would have no idea what it was, okay? It wasn't until Paul Stamets got on the Joe Rogan podcast, actually, and then everybody at the farmer's markets were talking to me about lion's mane mushroom. It was crazy. My lion's mane sales like went through the roof, and I had no idea, but it started gaining traction. Then Fantastic Fungi came out. Mushrooms kind of even got more mainstream, and just they keep getting even more mainstream today. You know what I mean? You got people like YouTubers like me talking about mushrooms on here, and lion's mane has just gained a lot of popularity. So if you're not growing lion's mane just for the popularity aspect, you definitely should consider it. Another thing, lion's mane is a high yielder, okay? So I can get anywhere from 2 to 3, even up to 4 pounds sometimes on these big blocks. So it's a high yielder for sure in the grow room, and it's no slouch in incubation. Lion's mane blocks colonize extremely fast. So a lion's mane block can be colonized in anywhere from like 10 to 14 days. The smaller the block, the faster it can colonize. The more spawn you guys put in it too, the faster it can colonize. Like, I've heard some really crazy fast rates for colonization time, but if you overspawn your blocks, you'll definitely get them to colonize a little bit faster. But lion's mane is definitely a very fast colonizer. In general, you can see a Hericium block colonize anywhere from like 10 days to 2 weeks. Sometimes on your 10-pound blocks, you might have to wait a little longer, upwards of that close to 3-week zone, but it's still a very fast colonizer, okay? Another thing too, like I was talking about, just the popularity aspect, the medicinal aspect, okay, just the neuroregenerative aspect of lion's mane is what's gained it a lot of popularity amongst just the media in general. So it's a very healthy mushroom. It's also really good for gut health, and all these mushrooms are really healthy for us though in general. So keep that in mind. But number 2, lion's mane. Also before we move on to number 3, temperature for lion's mane. It's pretty wide too, but honestly it kind of falls just in that realm of the blue oyster. The lion's mane, I feel like the lion's mane is even a little more resilient to temperatures. There's like high temp lion's mane strains out there, and guys, I just want to say it's like sort of kind of true, but like honestly there's still like a point when it's still too hot, and you're still going to struggle to an extent. But like most Hericium strains, you can actually hit up in the 80 degree zone and you're cool, okay? All of my strains will do it and you won't have any issues with it. I'll say a lot of times, whether it's the Hericium americanum, Coraloides, or Erinaceus, I've grown them all throughout the summer. You guys can actually check out my Instagram. I've got that link down in the description box below of all my videos, but you can see throughout all the different years of me cultivating and growing the mushrooms at different times of the year, I always have Hericiums at my stand, okay? So no matter what the temperature, even in the super hot Midwest where we would get like 100 degree days, I was still growing Hericiums, okay? But anyway, number 3, okay? Shimophila hirataki, the Black Pearl King. Now, this is a mushroom. I used to talk a lot of crap about this mushroom online, okay? But really, it just took a little getting used to, okay? And I had all sorts of people comment to me about this over the years on social media, and they're like, oh, Mike, I really like cultivating the Black Pearl King. You should really give it a shot a little more. And I'll tell you guys why I used to be so against it, why I've changed my mind about the Black Pearl King, and why I really like it now, and why I think maybe even you should really cultivate the Black Pearl King, because I overlooked this thing's superpowers way back in the day just because of the style of growing I had. And now allow me to explain. So now I want to say, previously when I was growing, I was usually always in like kind of a smaller grow room. I had limited incubation space to an extent, and I pretty much always got myself in the pattern of growing oyster mushrooms or Hericiums, okay? And now I'll just say, just due to my like growing habits before, growing oyster mushrooms and Hericiums, I pretty much stuck with using these fast incubating species. and I would get them in the grow room then as fast as I could, and then rotate them out as fast as I could, and then get a new block in there. So a lot of you guys know I did the video on second flushes and how I don't always recommend doing second flushes. Okay, I don't do second flushes here on this farm. We're not doing them like I don't have the room in this grow room. I do have another grow room like right over here, completely empty, and I could do second flushes. But guys, I still don't want to waste the time doing second flushes. I would rather put new blocks in there, just spend the money, put new blocks in there, and get big yields. But I don't like waiting around for second flushes. It's just kind of my style. So just my style of growing with kind of like faster incubating species, getting them in the incubation, through the incubation quickly, getting them in and out of the grow room, getting the crop, selling it, turning a profit as quick as we can. That's always kind of been my style. So the Black Pearl King kind of threw a wrench into the gears a little bit, and I'll just say that's because it needs about 3 to 4 weeks in incubation, okay? Then in the grow room, it needs about 2.5 weeks before you're going to get a fruit if you're just going to like cut a little hole in it. And that's what I've been doing a lot of times. I have been doing some top fruits too. I've been playing with it, and I'll kind of let you guys know within the next few weeks what my true favorite way is to do it. But honestly, I just like making a little hole in it, and it does really good. And now one thing I have been doing, here's another tip that at least I've been doing. Basically, if I cut the hole in the side, okay, and then I have the top of the bag up, or I just have like a little air gap in there one way or another, keep an eye out because you may see pins come up in the top. And if you see that, if you want, you can top the bag, or you can kind of like make it a little tent. You can let them grow up inside there a little bit. Once you like let them grow up inside the bag just a little bit, then you can totally top the bag, and you'll get some gnarly looking fruits, okay? So I'm just going to kind of show you guys a few examples. Here's a few pictures of the Black Pearl King. I've showed them here on the channel before, but I'll just show you guys them again and see some of the different shapes and just some of the sizes you can get out of this mushroom. I really like it mainly because of the texture and the overall yield, okay? And it's pretty resilient, I'll say. It's a lot easier to grow than like a King Trumpet. It is still no replacement for a King Trumpet, okay? It's close, but it's still no replacement. If you've ever had Pleurotus syringae, you will notice the difference for sure that these are two totally different mushrooms. Now, one thing I want to say about this Black Pearl King, it's a true cross. It's actually a cross between the Austriatus, the Pleurotus austriatus, and the Pleurotus syringae. And just because of that, I think that's one of the main reasons like why I like the texture so much. It's not quite a king. It's not quite an oyster. It's just good. And then I'll say like, yields are off the chain, like as you guys can see, like the pictures of me holding these mushrooms, like you get some banging yields. The only reason why I didn't like it before is, like I said, it just took a little long in the grow room for me. And I know you guys are probably thinking, Mike, 2.5 weeks ain't bad at all, dude, and it's not. That's why I changed my mind. So now that I'm just out here in Colorado, I wanted a little like higher quality mushrooms. The thing of it is, just like the style I had before when I was just doing oysters and hericiums mainly in St. Louis, I had no problem selling them. Like, guys, I could fill my grow room up and I could sell them all. So then I was like, why would I bother with this other stuff, okay? And then out here, though, honestly, I'm doing this really because I enjoy it. I still need to make a good living for myself. But at the same time, I want to offer a variety to these different chefs. And I really, really do like this Black Pearl King oyster just because, like, the texture's killer. Like, I find myself, like, when I'm cooking, I like all these mushrooms, first of all. A lot of people ask me, they're like, Mike, what's your favorite? It's really hard for me to pick. It's kind of like, what am I in the mood for typically, to tell you guys the truth. But lately, I've been on the Black Pearl King. I just think it's amazing. So anyway, guys, those are the 3 main mushrooms I would pick. Like I said, I had somebody ask me, Mike, if you could pick 3 mushrooms to grow, what would they be? Whether it's like for yourself or a beginner. Those are the 3 right there. I also want to say, bonus, that Hericium americanum. I really like growing the Hericium americanum. But anyway, like I said, if you guys want to pick up any of these cultures, head over to my website. Right now, I've got that link down in the description box below. And I have actually created a special pack just for this video that I'm making a little discounted pack that's going to include the Black Pearl King, the Blue Oyster Mushroom, and the Lion's Mane. So head over to my website, check that out. But hopefully you guys found this video helpful and informative. If you did, please drop this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But that's all I got for you on this one, and I will catch you guys on the next one.